अस्सलाम वालेकुम नाज़रीन, प्रोग्राम में खुशामदीद। हमने आज तक पाकिस्तान और अमेरिका के ताल्लुकात के हवाले से जब भी बात की है तो आपस में बात की है। हमने बहुत कम ये कोशिश की है कि अमेरिका के अंदर जो लोग इन मामलात के ऊपर गहरी नज़र रखते हैं उनको भी शामिल बहस किया जाए। आज हमने नशिस्त में एहतमाम किया है। दो अमेरिका से दोस्त तशरीफ़ लाए हैं, वो समझते हैं इस रीजन को बड़े अच्छे तरीके से। उनका हमने डायलॉग अरेंज करवाया है। पाकिस्तान के दो जो पैनलिस्ट हैं वो भी अपने मामलात को और बैनुल-अक़वामी जो सियासत है उसकी बहुत सी जहतें हैं उसको बेहतर तरीके से समझते हैं। हम प्रोग्राम का बाकायदा आगाज़ करते हैं। पहले हम ज़रा अपने जो पैनलिस्ट उनको तारुफ करवा दें। जेफ गेट्स, who's a Vietnam veteran, educator and consultant to government. He served for 7 years as counsel to the U.S. Senate Committee on Finance. He's author of several books, and the latest of these books is Guilt by Association, and he's a contributor to Opinion Maker. Thank you very much for being with us. Gordon Duff is sitting next to him. He's a Marine Vietnam veteran, UN diplomat, defense contractor, and specialist on global trade, political and economic advisor to a number of governments in Africa and the Middle East. Regular contributor to Opinion Maker. Thank you very much for being with us.
Good being here.
Zaid Hamid, who's our next guest. He's sitting in Lahore. He's our former finance and foreign minister and somebody who understands the complexities of global and regional politics very well. Zaid sahab, thank you very much for being with us. And last but not least, Sherry Rahman Sahiba, who's a member of Pakistan People's Party, but of late has shown a remarkable and constructive interest in foreign policy affairs, has been writing for newspapers on these subjects as well. Sherry, thank you very much for being with us. Let me start with you, Jeff. Lots of things get said about Pakistan-US ties. And the latest repackaging of the old theory is that we are united against one enemy. And that enemy is Al-Qaeda. Let me hear your assessment on that, that are we really united? That's the war that is all about in Afghanistan?
I think we're really divided because we haven't figured out who the common enemy is. And at least from our perspective, we were taken to war on false intelligence, generated, if you look to the source of it, all of it from either Israel or pro-Israelis. So we're in this theater waging war not for our interest, but for the interest of a country that many Americans still consider to be an ally. I tried to point out in this book, Guilt by Association, that's not the case. We were taken to war based on deception and based on self-deceit. We deceived ourselves to think that this was a war we should be waging. It's not our war.
Okay, this is very interesting, Gordon. Normally I get to hear the conspiracy theory, that is, that it's actually somebody else's agenda and the face is another state. But you know, is Israel driving this conflict around the globe? Is that what we're hearing?
Well, we have more than adequate reason to believe that Israel certainly manipulated the intelligence that led us to invade Iraq, which killed 1.6 million Iraqis, 5,000 Americans, disabled 400,000 American soldiers, and destroyed the U.S. economy. And if you look where you are right now, most of the military force on planet Earth, 250,000 American troops, 4 carrier battle groups, 6 nuclear submarines, 2,000 combat aircraft, enough to conquer the entire Earth, is within 1,500 miles of where we are. If we're hunting Al-Qaeda, you mean the 24 members of Al-Qaeda that there's no proof had anything to do with 9/11? Certainly Osama bin Laden, were he alive today, is never been charged or indicted, nor have we ever found a Al-Qaeda training camp where people practiced taking over airliners or grounding the NORAD defense system in the U.S. or whatever was necessary to have created this 9/11 issue. Essentially the idea that there is a war on terror, living in the U.S., it's become more than clear to us that it's simply a segue of a game.
Are you telling me that the entire structure of the US government, the Pentagon, the DOD, the CIA, and the FBI, and the entire electoral process, and the decisions that are made through that process are all manipulated by a team in a country called Israel? Is that what the take is?
We could say that enough of it to encourage policy in a government, well, let's say we're talking about, in this case, going into Iraq with the Bush administration. I'm saying that the Bush administration was a regime that represents to me a coup d'etat overthrowing the American democracy.
Now you have another administration. I mean, it's not exactly a coup d'etat. It should have gone back to the rails of democracy. What
they landed in a collapsed economy, 2 wars, and as Jeff, how much difference do you believe there is between the Bush administration and the Obama administration?
There's been very little. I mean, Secretary Gates, no relationship, but he coined a very useful term. He said, when you're waging unconventional warfare, he said the most challenging combatant is the people in between me as an American and the facts I needed for informed choice was a media that is largely controlled by pro-Israelis. I could not get to the facts I needed to know whether it was my war or someone else's war.
Sheikh Sabah, we have been hearing that it's our war, and we are united